Oh, hey there.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so great. I heard that you just recently made a really big purchase and
Uh,
relocated.
yes. So that's why obviously been really busy, just settling into new environment and trying to organize, space around me, getting more grounded. So yeah, it's been really, really hectic, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So thank you very much. So
Oh my
excited.
gosh, I'm so happy for you. That's so exciting.
I can see the
Yay.
nature from the window.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing I miss because where are you now? Are you in South Carolina?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one thing I miss about like the South, right? Because Florida's not the South.
I know.
That's one thing I miss is right the foliage.
I know. So, but I do obviously. I'm still consider myself, being in Miami girl. So it's good to have a both of these
Yeah.
different words. So yeah, how are you? How was your
Oh my
Valentine's Day week?
gosh. This week was so good. This week for me personally, I've taken a lot of time for those who, know me from the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 months of my journey on LinkedIn. I've really been so intentional about personal development, personal growth, right? For me, not for anyone else.
Yeah.
And I did something amazing this week and I took an intensives course on PR to better promote myself and my mission of Free Skin Co. And my mission in general about helping to better mental health of trauma survivors and women in general, right? Because that's me.
Yeah.
And it was just like the best thing ever. And this week was just full of love and just so many good things. It's been an incredible week. And my computer that broke like a month ago, I got news this morning that he finally figured out how to make it work. So I'm so happy.
That's so good news. Yeah. Hey, go. I have a small balloon like celebrating, I think
Yay.
it should be all about actually self-love because
Yes.
this is most important. And when we feel happy, aligned, then everything else just falls into place.
Yes. And speaking of alignment, welcome to episode 20 of Brand Experience Live. My name is Ashley Pirela or Pereira. If you don't want to, if you don't want to pronounce it, I am one of the co-hosts of Brand Experience Live, where we dive into the brands and individuals that are delivering unrivaled brand experiences for their prospects, buyers, employees, and candidates. And as usual, I'm so excited to have an incredible discussion with my co-host, Lag Lemoyne.
Hey. So happy to be here again. Happy Friday, everyone. And yeah, talking about brand experiences, I've been luckily, obviously, trying to get out and about here as well. And I went to a
Yeah.
few networking events here locally. So it's been really interesting. And when they said, what do you do? We said, we have a brand experience podcast. And there have been some interesting comments. So people don't understand what is brand experience. So
Yeah.
you just kind of have to explain to them that what actually it means for their business, and then they go into depth. Like, oh, that makes sense. So it's like
Yeah.
literally every day what my brand means to me, to business, and to customers, and obviously prospects, everyone. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
good.
your brand is your reputation. It's
Yes,
how others perceive who you are, what you do, and why. And the experience part of it is how others experience, right? Without being able to use another word, it's how they experience your offer and what you're trying to deliver, right? How do they
yes,
feel through the process? What are they thinking about when they're communicating with you or looking at your digital brand or what it is that you're trying to achieve? And how they feel being a part of that. Are they a part of a community? Are you enhancing their life? Right? These are a lot of things that I feel like, and I've also seen so many brands forget about through
Mm,
the sales process, and especially after the sale, of nurturing the relationship with
yes.
others. So it's so important. And today we're going to be talking about aligning your sales and marketing teams for better internal experience, which then produces better external experience. I'm really
I
excited about this one.
I know. For me, always when I think marketing and sales, I always think of couples dysfunctional who don't communicate to each other.
Yeah.
And what happens, they go out there and post on Instagram beautiful photos, but internally, behind the scenes, it's a chaos.
Oh
So
my gosh.
so this needs to be aligned, then everything else works. And it's the same with the companies and businesses and marketing team and sales team. Favorite subject.
You are so right. You are so right. And right, traditionally, we've thought of when it comes to sales, okay, there's sales and there's marketing. But the truth is that there's also customer success. And so often, what I have seen in my experience is that they're forgotten about in the
Mm,
process, right? They're just
yes.
there to be like the order takers of the customer afterwards and sending the invoices and taking the complaints. That's not at all what they should be. So for me, what I really think of, right? A lot of people call this like sales and marketing alignment a
Mm,
smarketing team, right?
I love
Sales,
it.
marketing, smarketing.
Marketing is good.
But for me, because it really does include customer success, if you're doing it right, I like to go with revenue team,
Mm.
combining all departments that are responsible for revenue and buyer success and experience. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but that's how my mentality goes in whenever I'm working with a new client or organization.
Yeah, I think very often these when it's two separate teams, we forget that obviously the end goal is to look after that client customer, and the personal egos really start to
Yeah.
step in and saying, "Okay, I'm in marketing; it's nothing to do with sales and sales." But actually, when you don't understand what each of them doing and how it actually affects your customer or prospect or even lead, then this is bad already. So we want to make sure that this doesn't happen, and it's kind of in a line from day one. And it comes down to really strong relationship, communication, and understanding you work as a team, not as a two separate organizational departments and so on.
Yes, we're working towards a common goal, and that common goal is the buyer and their
Yes.
experience and making them come back for more. And if there is not internal alignment, your customer, your buyer, your client, they can tell, like they can
Yeah.
feel it, especially when they're interacting with multiple members.
It's very common. I think most common thing is when you calling department or somewhere and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's not my area, so I put you through to someone else," rather than kind of, for me, forward thinking is, okay, let me quickly deal with it. I don't want to lose you on the call. Let me figure out solution or right person for you rather than giving you next number and so on. So it's already starting from there that step
Yes.
out from your comfort zone and step out from your area and really focus on that client and just saying, okay,
Yes.
we'll look after you all the way. And that's been my kind of mindset when I work whatever I do with the clients. It's just, even if it's not my kind of expertise or my area, I'm not going to
Mhm.
say no. I'm going to figure out answer to them or lead them to the right, obviously, connection person who can help them, rather than saying, okay, sorry, this is not something I deal with. So
Yes,
really,
take ownership regardless of if you are the one who can physically help them or not. I love that. And I totally agree. And
yeah.
today we're going to be going over two different areas and we have like 5 to 6 actionable steps that you can start to implement today, right? Even if you are a solopreneur, right? You don't have
Mm,
any other people on your team and it's just you. We really need to start shifting our mentality to thinking bigger, thinking that we do have a team, even if you don't have a VA, right? Even if
yeah.
you don't have a project manager or freelancer that you work with. When you switch your mentality to believe that you're already a larger organization, it really helps you to plan out your day, your responsibilities, your process, your workflow, how you're interacting with your clients at any given point in time. So even if you're a solopreneur,
Hmm.
switching your mentality to this is going to be so helpful. We're going to be discussing the first thing is going to be designated leaders and stakeholders to meet to define and align 6 things. And then the
Hmm.
second thing that we're going to talk about is relationship building from there.
Yes. True.
So let's
And
dig in.
I like it. Sounds good, So, well, I think the main thing is really, like you said, it's a buy-in from the leadership, isn't it? From the leaders,
Yes.
stakeholders, getting
Yes.
them on board, communicating, because we have also like CMO, CFO, then we have
All the
sales
O's.
directors. Let's get them all together, and making sure that they first communicate. How can you expect anything from your team? So let's get these O's together and get the
Yes.
communication flowing. So
Oh
that's
my gosh. And it comes from the top down, right? Even if you
totally.
have your organization's large enough where you have like director level or VP level or manager level, even if you have those that are responsible for the daily execution, if you at the head of the department and the organization, if there is no alignment there,
Yeah,
everyone else is going to feel that chaos, whether you think they do or not. So,
exactly.
getting an alignment on simple things and identifying your whatever you want to call them, right? Whether they're project managers, they're internal stakeholders within departments, they're leaders of, this revenue team, representatives of it to execute the day to day, identifying those people, because if your team
Yeah.
is big enough, like your VP of sales is not going to be the one that's in day to day managing the team, most likely, right? It's going to be someone
Mm,
that's at like a director level or a manager level doing that. So identifying those people first is the key step to creating and aligning communication internally cross function.
absolutely. And at the end of the day, everything what's spiraling down, it's gonna go up again. So remember, that
Everything
must
that
be
goes down must come. Yes, everything
so.
that goes up must come down, and opposite.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's why it's important that it's gonna be right from straight on from early days. Don't leave it too long. Let's get it really down to to early, and let's get it going. So yeah, so it's very important. I think I haven't been in corporation for a while now, but I definitely seen things are probably improving now because there's a different focus, but I'm sure there is still lots of like dysfunctional leadership teams, and
Yeah, I mean, there's communication problems regardless of how old or new an organization is. They're different. And obviously, the bigger the organization, the bigger the potential problems, even though when it's smaller, you feel them more because you're so close with your team and you're so
yeah,
in everything. But so for this, right, aligning and defining um, tactical things across this team that you've now identified to represent and execute. There's 6 things that you should really ensure that you have in order to set the framework, the foundation for that relationship that you're going to build later on. And I'm just going to go through them, and we'll, if we have like key markers or thoughts on these as we're going, then we'll go ahead and add those in. The first
yes,
thing, y'all, before you do anything, you need to define KPIs for
absolutely.
your business and for the departments and how they fit in with each other. When your organization does not know the responsibilities of the other departments, this is when we have this like, oh, I'm just going to stay in my lane, and oh, I'm going to go in yours. And when there's a problem, it's your fault. It's not mine. It's because there's no alignment on the like top level thing that you should have, which is a key performance indicator, what your goals
Yeah,
are.
exactly. And make them really smart, actionable. So, and have a deadline, obviously, revisit them,
Yes.
not just only once a year, but every
Yes.
quarter. Like we like to say, quarterly, keep it short and sweet and revisit all the time with all your O's together and see where you stand in terms of like your own department and where is its team stands. Are we actually meeting them, or is there an issue? We can obviously early to tackle the problem. So,
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to talk about the relationship building in a little bit, but as far as that's concerned, I think that that's something it should be more often than quarterly, right? So at high level executive team, yes, quarterly is okay, but when you're getting into the nitty-gritty of like the everyday,
I'm.
it should be far
Oh
more
yeah, of course.
often than it should be regularly, right? To ensure that you are on track with your forecasting that you've set forth that have been built off of these KPIs. I mean, you should be looking at them every single day, meeting internally as like an individual department, twice a week, ideally, right?
Mhm.
Smart goals, going back to your smart goals that you just said. And then as a larger team, at least once a month as the entire revenue team. And right, this is how we avoid communication
Yeah.
issues in the future, and that how we stay on track with our sales goals too, our revenue goals.
Absolutely. I wanted to say as well, like obviously team based, do it weekly and then maybe even bi-weekly, like in terms of like when it comes to not the O's, but team managers, who manage sales and marketing. So get them together and just really making sure that you're on track. And especially now people working lots remotely. So make it mandatory, you need to join in because these meetings are important. So, and making sure you get your KPIs.
Agreed. And a part of those KPIs is also defining short and long term goals. So,
Mm,
right now, we talked about in December, prepping for 2023, that in the state of the economy as it is right now in the US as well as globally, we're not being as traditional in our goal setting as we used to, right? We used to do like
yeah.
5-year plan and then 3-year plan and then 18-month and 12-month. And right, like we continue to back it up for our strategy. Right now, it's still really nice to have those North Star dreams and visions ahead of you, right, to think about, but really getting into the details of your short and long term goals should be much shorter because things are moving so much quicker as things
Yes.
like AI are developing and more automations and easier workflows and the ways that people want to be communicated with. Don't forget about those within your KPIs. And I think something that so many people forget is identifying and defining your ICP or ICA. So, ICP, you can look at it as either one, ideal client profile or ideal client avatar. This is so
Hmm.
important for knowing whom it is that you are speaking to that's going to help you actually accomplish your KPIs.
Yeah, 100%. And remember, these also profiles are changing because as the needs of your potential maybe prospects customers are changing as well, and we're moving forward. So revisit them as obviously regular and make sure that they are
Yes.
still actually the right audience, right target, profile, customer profile. So
Yes, no, I totally agree with that. What's the
I like
next one that we have on our list?
we talked about short and long term goals. What I wanted to go back as well is nowadays we have, like you said, technology available. So really check the data. I think it's really important to step in as well the data. What your numbers are saying. What is actually the analytics are saying. About
Yes.
sales, calls, marketing. Where is a lack? And I think that's gonna give so much information for business as well. And seeing okay. Like we said, even when it comes to targeting the right profile, like customer persona and so on, because if we don't check what's our numbers, not even numbers but our data, are we actually reaching these right people we're trying to target, then there is already like an issue. So let's go back and revisit this analytics. I think it's very important, and nowadays it's not complex. Big organizations have obviously specialist teams available for that who provide data for probably each meeting and every maybe Monday morning. But even as a small entrepreneur or small business, Google has made it super easy, obviously.
Yep.
Like when it comes to also different social media platforms, it's super easy to track and just keep it in a one database. So I would say just lean to data a lot.
Yes. And this means, right, just like super quick touch point, identifying and making sure that the ICP, ICA that you have identified and like the key important parts of generating revenue through those, you're simply looking over um if you're actually on target to serve them, or if your audience has turned into something else. So looking at, okay,
Mm,
where is my revenue coming from? Who is
yes.
saying no the most? Where am I losing my ICP or my ICA at during the sales process or even afterwards? Are they returning as a new customer? So looking at these things and auditing them on a regular basis, you can do it within a CRM, which is, please always try and have a CRM if you
Yes.
can. Even as a one person team, please have a CRM. There's even free versions of it, like HubSpot, for example, has free I love HubSpot. I always talk about HubSpot. We talked about HubSpot in our last episode, and we've talked about them multiple times. But making sure that you are seeing, okay, where is my revenue actually coming from is so important. And then, going in afterwards, after you identify these things, whether you're a new business or you're realigning things, making sure that all of your teams under that larger revenue team understands the true value proposition and messaging going to market.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but for me, I cannot tell you how many times I've joined a new organization, whether I was a full-time employee coming into align brand or the marketing with the rest of the organization, or I was working with a client. But one of the first things that I do is I go and I'm like a little fly on the wall for everyone's conversations. I go and I sit with sales. I sit on their sales calls and I sit in their meetings with each other. I see who all is interacting with each other. I ask them, what is the value prop of what it is that you're selling? And 99% of the time, no one knows, or everyone says something different every single time.
That shouldn't be. That should be actually the same message, same. But
Right.
that shows there is something is missing. There is a lack of communication, lack of the clarity of goals, what we're trying to achieve as either team or department. Because at the end of the day, you have this big goal, obviously, and then you have obviously your internal smaller goals. But when you go and ask this question, it should be super clear. What is the message?
Agreed.
Because can you imagine if you are a customer and you ask these questions and you get all these different answers? How confusing is that? So get it right quickly, early.
Yeah. But I mean, you have to think too, right? Whenever I go in to work with a new organization, I'm going in specifically to align messaging and align all of these departments. So I expect them to all have a misalignment. But I mean, I've worked with over 150 organizations, and I have not yet found one that all of the key members of the team are on the same page, which means that they're teaching their teams all different things, which, this comes with confusion. This is why if we look at, especially like, getting into 10 plus people team, probably like 15 or 20, that's where we really start seeing tough communication issues, is because you do start getting a little bit more siloed in your departments and you're talking about different things. Okay, what is the goal of my team? And you only focus on like, okay, that's my value prop, whatever the focus of my individual team is. And that's not true at all. The goal of every single team should be the same. The way that you deliver it is what's slightly different.
Yeah, I think for me, from my experience, when I was in a corporate world, it was kind of similar. Everybody was sort of, some competition with another team and so on. But I believe now what I've seen looking at my clients and the ones who've been in that actual big organization and then they went and started their own business, and either they're still a small business or growing, I think I see them, they're the ones who learned the lessons, what didn't work, because there is already desire to step out from the bigger organization and go and do something yourself because something was missing. And so far, like I've just been lucky enough, but the clients I've been working with, I feel like it's very different and they do communicate better. And because I think lessons been learned from the leaders previously.
And that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
And this is one thing for me, like from day one, being when I work with anyone, saying let's make sure we are speaking the same language.
Yes.
So we are on board and we understand. Doesn't matter what you do from reception to leadership, we speak the same language.
Yes. So and this is from your brand guidelines, by the way.
Yes.
Where it comes for how to communicate top down for the organization as a whole, right? When you look at your brand guidelines there, and I'm just going to quickly go through, it's things like your messaging, your story, your value, your mission, how we communicate, the words that we do or do not use, because that's important sometimes too. And right, just like overall, how we go to market on our positioning. Every single person in the organization should be educated on who you are as a brand and receive these brand guidelines. Every single person. I don't care if it is the receptionist at the front desk, if you have a physical office that does that, if it's the graphic designer, if it is the VP of operations, I don't care if it's the janitor, right? Because the
Yes.
janitor is going to come into contact with someone at some point in time. Every single person should receive those. Off my rant.
Yes, exactly. And there is no excuse because we're going back to the part now where is technology involved. So we have so much technology available for internal communication, for publishing things. So do it regularly. I don't know, even send Friday evening in afternoon how great is a brand and how we're working, and let's come
Yeah.
back on Monday and being happy and cohesive all together. So why can't you do that? Use technology, what's available for businesses at the moment. So
Yeah. And when you're able to easily educate your entire team on, right, everything that we talked up to so far, it's really easy to figure out handoff responsibilities and workflows, which is the next like tactical step that I really like to do is go through, okay, do we have a workflow right now?
yes.
Do we have a process? Is it just every man for himself? And then there's a stopping point, which usually that's what I find, right? Like everyone's like, oh, I just like kind of figure it out as I go. And there's like 1,000 steps to do one thing. There's no true process alignment. Or, okay, when I do this, now it's someone else's responsibility. And then it gets
Yeah.
handed off here and here, right? Internal workflows. This is so important for ensuring that everyone is on the same page as far as their personal responsibility. And going back to what you said earlier, if a client or a buyer or a customer contacts you and you're not the right person, understanding your responsibility handoff and your workflows helps you to connect them with the right person or understand, oh, hey, this is the responsibility of XYZ department. These are the things that they're going to go over with you and right how this is going to go. If you want to speak to someone from there, I'm going to go ahead and pass you over to them because they're going to be able to better communicate with you than I can.
Yeah.
That just makes you guys look immediately like you're all in alignment with each other.
Exactly. And it comes down to really just a very simple basic steps, isn't it? Like it's nothing complicated about it. But why, as humans, we like to complicate everything. And when it
We
comes
make
to
everything complicated.
exactly, it's so ABC. Why we do it Z, Y, I don't know, D or something. Let's keep it super simple. And I think that's something personally I always been when I went solo on my own. That was kind of my own mission. Was like I want to make sure that everybody is on board,
Yeah.
aligned, everything understands what's going on and why we do it and why we're here actually as a business and all these things.
Yes. In a
So it's
simple nature and a part of keeping things simple too, right? So we've aligned, all right, this is this person's responsibilities. These are our goals. This is who's involved. Y'all don't forget about your tech stack.
yes.
Especially if you are an established organization, auditing your current tech stack. Tech stack includes things like Google Docs too, right? Where it is that you're storing your information currently, going back to data, defining ICP, ICA, where is it that we're actually storing and getting this information from? How is it going throughout our company? I mean, this is literally everything. Most organizations, I think, and I could be totally wrong. Someone please tell me if I am. I probably am. But I believe that most organizations have like 8 to 10 plus pieces of technology in their business. And you don't need that. Really, I would think from my experience, I try to like funnel it down to like 4 or 5 and no more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. It's you always think, oh, there's something new and something better, but I think at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you just have to figure out what works for you, for your
FOMO.
team, for your business, and that's it. Don't try everything. I mean, I'm trying also like this Chat GPT now. So I'm like, is it something I need? Obviously, it's a great tool and stuff, but yeah, there's so many different things going on. The technology is renewing itself. So identify exactly what you need and what works for you and for your team, and that's it.
Yeah. And we're running out of time. So just
Yes.
quickly running through the relationship piece. I always think that, The tactical piece, like I like to go a little bit further in depth on that, like we just did, because we've already talked about a lot of relationship building things and responsibility things through that. But as far as executing these things, right, like after you initially define or revisit and redefine these things, follow up, right? So it does not matter
Yes,
what you plan for, what you dream of, if there is no follow up action, guys, I don't care how amazing your plans are, how incredible your strategy is. If you do not follow through, it's crap. It means nothing.
exactly. And how do you know it's working then? If you don't follow
Yeah,
up, it's just saying, no, it's working.
right.
But
How do
how?
you know it's working? Do you want to quickly go through the relationship building list as far as like executing and following through on these things?
Yeah, well, like we discussed before, I think the main thing is like making sure that the top leadership team is there. Obviously meeting regularly, like maybe I think every 2 weeks is bi-weekly meetings are really good
Yeah.
for the leadership teams, because then it gives that time to lots of things can happen in 2 weeks, and making sure
Yes.
that everything is on track and they can communicate with the teams below them. Team meetings definitely, like weekly should be getting together. Let's talk. What's happening? What are the goals for the week, and so on. And knowing that what they deliver, it's actually working.
With
Um, pro-
that, with like the smaller teams, right? Personally, I've found that 2 meetings per week works so well, right? They can be 15-minute meetings,
yeah,
but identifying on, Mondays, for example, what are our SMART goals for the week, and then revisiting those SMART goals on Thursdays because you still have 40% of your week left on Thursday morning. Do we need to adjust any of our goals and push them into next week? Have we already hit our goals? What do we need to focus on now, or realign with the rest of the team come Thursday so that we're still on track to hit? I think so many organizations miss out on that, and that's something that I have implemented into every single company that I've worked with where I have influence in this revenue team in these meetings, that let's implement SMART goal meetings. So everyone in the company does not have to meet every week. We don't have to meet twice a week, but the smaller internal teams, let's meet 15 minutes on Monday, 15 minutes on Thursday, make sure we're on track, hold everyone accountable, move on with our life. Because going back to you saying, a lot can happen in just a few days. A lot can
yes.
happen in a week. And if we somehow naturally get the mentality that, oh, well, we don't meet until next week, or we only meet twice a month, I'm just going to wait, then you're
Hmm.
causing so many other issues. And this is just something that we just naturally do as humans, is we choose to wait until we're given permission to speak on an issue and stop waiting for permission.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, keep them short. I think one thing what's for me was like 1960s is a long team meetings, keep them short and sweet
Yes. Oh,
and more frequent,
this
because I
meeting
think
could
this
have
is
been an email.
exactly. So this is the like where people get frustrated. So don't do that to your team. Don't do that to your employees or people you work with. So keep them really short. And I think the main thing is like we'll see obviously when it's a office environment. I think sales marketing keep them together. So let them communicate, that the
Yeah.
flow communication goes. So it doesn't mean that I have to knock someone's door. And I think I've seen more now marketing and sales, really the teams are sitting together,
Yeah.
and this sort of like flow is happening. It doesn't mean that they communicate well, but it's done on purpose. And I think we see more these open plan offices. That's the whole reason of it, is just to make sure that everyone feels unite as a team. So
Yes. And as a marketer, right? Sales should be short term now. Marketing is long term. And if I am a marketer and I am in a pit, for example,
mhm.
if there's a pit environment, if it's in person, if I'm in a pit with salespeople, I can listen in on the conversations that they're having instead of needing to like take a meeting or going to sit in on a sale, right? If I have that opportunity, I love sitting in the pit because it helps me to realign whatever go to market direction that I've already set up. If I need to adjust anything, which you pretty much always will, by the way, if you're in
Yes.
marketing, just FYI, be prepared to pivot at any given moment. But it's helped me so much. And then, creating pods. So even if you have, right, these multiple departments, marketing, sales, customer success, creating like little mini pods of, hey, like you guys are in alignment with each other and you support each other. You like 3 people or 6 people or however many like mini pods, and keeping them together. I've seen that just naturally helps so much with the communication factor because you're always together.
No, absolutely, and I like the idea. Obviously, like getting quickly to the point. If marketing over here, sales is frustrated with the same common issue and problem, you don't
Yes.
wait, like you said, and even 2 weeks. Like straight away, bring the team together, even in a board
Yeah.
or around testing. This seems to be recurring, like a message we get from obviously from outside. Something is not working, so let's figure out where is the problem at the moment, and we can quickly fix it rather than waiting until obviously problems escalating. So yeah, I love it. I love it. Sort of like a very close relationship, but it's again comes down very often. Teams don't take action because they
Yes.
feel like there is no like from higher up, they feel like they are not allowed to do that. So I think
Hmm.
it comes down to leadership again and making sure that give your team that authority and team members authority. If they see there's a
Yes.
problem, don't ask them to come to you. Maybe let them already action, and then obviously see if they can take responsibility for that. And I think that,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just like, I
yeah,
love this.
yeah, let them just give them this empowerment, let them actually deal with it rather than waiting some guidelines and stuff, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, very people are very experienced, and I think they feel much better and think, okay, I could resolve that issue with a client and this really worked well. So just, yeah, give that kind of authority to them to make their decisions and help them, let them solve problems.
I agree. And in my experience and opinion, the best leaders equip their team with the tools and authority to make decisions on their own in order to grow. And next week, we're going to be having such an incredible conversation to dive deeper into this as far as like leadership communication from top
Yeah.
down all the way through the newer generation that's coming into the workplace. We're going to be sitting down with Doug Carrara, who is VP of Sales for Atlas Consulting. And we're going to be sitting down with Brianna Doe, who, y'all, if you don't know Brianna Doe, she is just a fantastic voice with this incredible microphone, shouting out constantly on LinkedIn, sharing, being vulnerable about her terrible work experiences with leaders and how she is representing the newer working class generation coming in and her peers of how to create a better experience for those that are coming in. We're going to be talking with these two polar opposites
I
on
love
each
it.
end of the spectrum of the internal leadership corporate team on how we can bring these opposites together and create a better experiences in the internal workplace. I'm
That's
so
gonna be good
excited.
chat. Me too. I'm so excited. What a great Friday, and I think these were very simple, actionable steps, and hopefully, you just take whatever you need from it and the rest leave. So
Yeah. And if you run an organization, you're part of an organization, or in general, you have anything that is working for you that could help others to simply implement in order to create better experiences for candidates, employees, prospects, and buyers, please reach out to Lagla and myself. We would absolutely be thrilled and honored to have you on the show and help us reach others and make the business world a better place.
absolutely. And I would be really interested if we had, like, if you anyone working with like AI, obviously technology based. So get in touch with us because we really would love to see how we can better use these tools
Yeah,
available for. I think that's lots of educational learning curve for everyone there. So yeah, get in touch with us.
agreed. All right. Well, everyone,
Perfect.
enjoy your weekend. It was so great having this conversation. Can't wait to see you next week for our leadership and internal communication discussion with Brianna and Doug. We'll chat
Bye.
then. Bye.